Hey everyone, welcome back to the Jillibean Soup blog. This is Nicole Noisette, and today I'm here to share with you a quick way to make a mosaic frame border for your scrapbook layout or even for cards. You just need a few small supplies, some Jillibean Soup pattern paper, a ruler, a pencil eraser, and your basic toolkit. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the page that I created, and you can see I have a mosaic border frame all around the outside. So the first thing I did was grab just some scraps of my favorite Jillibean Soup papers that kind of coordinate. I also grabbed a couple of these cute mini placemats and that I know I'm going to use on my page, and some plain white cardstock. So I'm just going to put a piece of craft paper in behind here just so you can kind of see what I'm doing as we go along, but that will change later on. So the first thing you want to do, and the reason I'm using a white cardstock, is because you're going to have a lot of pattern around the outside edge. You're going to want to create an inside box to your page. So I'm measuring in about an inch, inch and a half from each edge. However far you measure is completely up to you. I'm just going to use this small amount, and you're going to want to mark on all four corners of your page and then join them together with a line. And don't go too dark on the pencil line, but just enough that you can see it, and connect all four corners of your inside box shape. So really easy. Just make a simple box. Just make sure that each side is even. Now, once you got that done, you're going to be able to do your outside mosaic, but I really wanted to kind of make the inner part of my page a little bit better than just the plain white cardstock. So I went ahead and grabbed my Simple White Circles placemat, and I'm going to use that just to add into the center of the page. And although it's still white also, it's going to add another layer of texture to the page really simply. So I just lined up my corner of the placemat to the corner of the square that I created. And I'm just going to really quickly trim this off with my scissors. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive to the back of it and stick it into the center of the page. Now I'm going to add sewing to my page later, and I know that, so I'm not going to add a lot of adhesive, but if you're not planning on adding sewing, that's totally fine. Just make sure that all your little corners are stuck down properly. So once you have it all sticky, you just center it as best you can into that space, and it doesn't have to be perfect. This project requires barely any measuring. So I've gone ahead and pre-cut just a bunch of squares from those scraps of paper that I showed you earlier. They're about 1.5 down to 1/2 of an inch. You really can vary the size as much as you want, and I've also gone ahead and added just a little bit of adhesive to the center of each of those pieces. So now, starting in one of the corners, and it doesn't matter which corner, you want to just start layering your square pieces of paper around the outside edge. You want to make sure that you vary up the pattern and the color of your paper. You don't want to have two of the same paper side by side. I do in the end have some that are polka dot beside polka dot, and as long as they're a different color, it looks totally fine. So you just want to play around with the size and the shape and the pattern, and you also, like I said, want to vary the color up a bit too, and you want to go all the way around the edge. Don't worry about, right now, you just want to worry about that going around that circle that that square that you drew. You don't really have to worry too much about going to the corner. I'll show you what you do for that later on. And again, just mix up your pattern and go. I'm just going to quickly go all the way around my page. I'm just going to speed up the video. So when you're going around the page, one thing you do want to do is, you can see what I just did there is I staggered some of the squares, so not everything touches that white line, because you can fill it in later. So you want to kind of have your pattern moving back and forth from that line, although we will fill it in later. So you just want to go till you get all the way around for the four sides of that square to get started. And it actually goes really quickly. If you've pre-cut all your squares ahead of time, and I added some adhesive to most of them, it goes really fast. So now that that part's done, you have some spaces to fill in. You can see that things are overhanging, and don't worry about that yet. We're going to trim that off later. So grab more scraps of your paper. If you have larger pieces, it's very simple to just cut down. Or if you have little tiny scraps, all you need to do is place them, and you can just, because you've only glued the inside of those squares, just lift and place all those little pieces of paper and tuck them in. Cut down any little pieces, just measuring, just like that. It's really easy. The most I measured was with a little pencil just to create a little dot on my paper. And in some cases, like here, I'm just snipping off and tucking under, and it goes really, really fast. Just trim off anything excess and you'll probably use it later, or you can be lazy like me and just rip off some of the extra edges that you have. And just keep going till you get the whole design filled in. Now, obviously, if you make your square in the center smaller, this would obviously fill up more of your page. But the reason you want to use the white cardstock is because that outside border is going to be pretty busy. You don't want to have a really busy paper in behind it. So whatever you choose to be left over, make sure that you have something pretty neutral, like a nice simple grid would be great for this, like the back of a bite-sized bit, or just plain cardstock or craft paper is perfect. Okay, so I'm almost finished my border. And then once that's done, I'm going to flip it over and I'm just going to trim off those little scraps of paper, and then my mosaic is complete. So you can see I just grabbed a pair of scissors. I did find I tried to use my trimmer and it was kind of hard because all the edges were uneven, but if you just grab your pair of scissors and trim it off, it seemed to be the quickest way just to get those little bits off the edge. So there's my finished piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some stitching, and I'll show you some close-up shots of my page. So you can see here that I added different kinds of stitching, and I also mounted the whole page now on a piece of yellow paper. That's from the birthday bisque line. And I've also tucked in some soup labels and some coordinating label stickers and some stamped images like these hearts here over top of the pattern border. And then just a close-up of that awesome camera from the Spicy Social Soup line. And I brought the yellow into my page just by using one of the arrow stickers and that placemat spritzed with a little bit of yellow mist. And there's my finished mosaic border page. It's a really, really easy way to get a lot of paper on your page, use up some of your scraps, and have a big impact. So thanks for joining me on a Jillibean Soup blog. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. Thanks.